Hey there, this is Phoenix Greenleaf with Greenleaf Galactic. I'm here today with a household helper update. This is version 1.5. The quick summary is that task tracking is now a full module. It's much more complete and usable. First thing you'll notice is new styles and themes. The colors have changed just a touch. Everyone's got new buttons and a new font. But I like that the buttons are slightly roundy and the text is kind of rounded to go with it. The menus have been updated a bit to reflect future modules and stuff like that. I'll just open this first one to give you a small demonstration, more teasers of things to come, and a little bit of dev notes. I'll let you explore the other ones. Let's pop over now to the task tracking. We still have the data manager here, and back to the main menu. And there's this new one for settings. All very exciting. And now you can go back to the sheet itself and to the menu. So we've loaded in, and we already have a data file loaded up because of settings, which you can also access in this little main menu now. So this first box, we have our default data. When you click here, it sets your currently loaded one as the default. And you turn this on and off. Load things and unload things. That's if you run the program again. And to kind of help demonstrate this point, there is an unload current data. I don't know how many times this is going to be useful out in the wild, but it's here. Now we're back to the blank. But if you turn the auto load back on, data. And then we have the new checkbox options. When you create a new task, it gets blank checkboxes. And you can set how those show up. They can be all white, which is active and default. Can be set to expired, which is expired and default. And then there's active and assigned profile. If the task is assigned to a person, it'll give you the white boxes that have the profile border, which I'll talk about in a second. And the other options, because it's smaller and easier. So this is related to that one, so I'll be back. There's a description box now, which is basically a button that opens up a text editor. And the length of the preview on this box is set here. You don't have to save settings, they're saved as soon as you change them. And then here is a whole fun set of deletion buttons that cannot be pressed until you arm them. So this is two different versions of removing profiles. This one, the first one, removes them from the list. So they're not going to show up on here anymore. The second button removes all of their related colored cells from the checkboxes and all the different months and such. I delete edit test 3 and go to the sheets. These boxes are still here because I only deleted it from the list. And the way to undo that is to restore profile from checkboxes. That will look through all the checkboxes and grab any profiles that are not currently there. So here it is. do an interesting case. Remove test edit 3, go back to sheets. You can still select the cell and it'll still say it's test edit 3. And it won't have any of these boxes selected because it's not the right boxes. But you can fix it that way. Or, if you delete all the data from the cells, then it can't really come back. There's nothing to regenerate from. And we have a button here for resetting checkboxes. Mainly for when you copy a data set and you want to set it back to the default blanks. If you select yearly or monthly, it's all the months and all sections. If you pick weekly or daily, you can pick which month is getting blamed. If we go down to, here's how yearly is. Do that, and then reset, see, weekly, January. And it's confirmation. It's back to where we left it, where it started. Back to where it started. Oh, and finally, take some cells and mess it up like this. You can hit these buttons at the very end of the checkbox mode to reset that particular task, just the one task. And the final big deletion button for the entire data set. When deleted, this gets sent to the recycle bin. With profiles and profile data and the checkboxes, those changes are saved in the loaded active data, but they're not officially saved until you press the save button, or something else activates the save. So if you make a change or you delete an item and you have not saved, you can reload it and things will be restored. This one's backup is in the recycle bin. You can also go into your user files and delete them directly, but this is just an added way to do it. There's a new profile button here. Which is a little bit more fleshed out this time. Still has warnings if you do things wrong. And the random was so good, I included it as a button. You'll click here and pick whatever the heck you want. Except for white. Because white is used as the no profile default. So they can't use white and it will randomize the color. And when you select your profile now, there is an edit button. And we had a problem with active and expired. You couldn't tell if it was assigned to someone, you couldn't tell who it was. So now when there's a profile, there is a colored border around the active and expired cells. Here's what the expired purple looks like. And the profiles are now stored onto the task sheet data. I eventually want to put a way to import and export the profile data out of the sheets. So if you needed the same people and the same colors, but you were adding it to a completely different set of data, that'd be the way to get it in and out. And I still haven't implemented the external file sharing. It's still the resource files, which are technically unsafe to share. That's okay. That's next. But because of that, the new profile needs something to actually load. There's nothing loaded. You'll now see this used to be grayed out, new profile, but now it says task data needed. And if you click here, it brings up the manager. So even if you haven't figured out where the manager is hiding, which is right here, and on the other menus, it'll help you bring it up and find it. The add task button's grayed out. In the default profile, which is also labeled as no profile, does not need the two colored center options, and so it's removed. And hiding in the data manager, we have our new data, just like before, but we have a friend right here, clone data. It's going to attempt to clone whichever data is loaded. It's going to use the same name, and it's going to increment the year by 1, presuming you just need to create the next iteration for the next year. You can change either of them, either the name or the year as you want. These files are only registered by their name and date. So if it's the same name and the same date, it'll give you this error. Year, it's fine. And with a good amount of tinkering, I've got all the different section drop-downs to work properly. Flip over to info mode. Got your different sections, and your groups. Right now, there's no way to add a new group from the drop-down. I feel like it'd be cool to have that last button be an add. But the way around it is to add a task with a new group. And you can switch whatever you want to that group. These do update with whatever groups are around. Then you can switch them to that group, and then you can delete the dummy task. But this bar's been improved, so let's take a look at this too. On test group. If there were existing groups, they'd be right here. And we have added features right here to fill in the blank cells properly upon creation. We need to know who it's assigned to, and this is the scheduling. I'm going to leave it on 0, which means it's not going to activate. Put any number of days here, but it's not going to activate if the start is 0. So here we have it, test group, both groups available. didn't add them. Oops. Okay. You may have to switch sections real quick to reload it. Add that right now as a issue to fix on the list. Yeah, you can add a test one, switch some people to that group, and then delete the old one. They still have it, it's still available, good stuff. So the scheduling is very simple and just done, this is the start of it, and this is the number of units per cycle. On days it says days, on weeks it's weeks, months, years, I mean not months, not years. For yearly it's also months. So 1 and 1 means it starts on the first month, because this is the month section, and it's every month. Cycle repeats every single month. If we look over at the checkbox mode, that's exactly what we see. We also see it's assigned to nobody. A reset, still blank. If we up this to 2, save it. No change yet because we have to reset it. The scheduling and the blank cells are only created when the task is brand new. If you change settings, it's not going to wipe out all your tracked data, just in case. And if we up that to 3, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's how that's working. And this is on the set active and assign profile. So if we actually assign it to someone, and save it, and reset it, it now has the purple box surrounding. And if we push the schedule start back, because this is months, it will be April. We'll start on April. Yeah, so 1 is starts on 1, 4 is starts on 4. 4 is skipping 1, 2, and 3. I feel that it is simple enough for most basically scheduled tasks. You could have something that's really advanced scheduled and you just mark it yourself. And then, because you can clone the data, no real issue there. Set it once and then keep using it. Put some scheduling to make it just a touch faster. Reset deletes the old checkboxes and replaces them with the newly generated set. Sister button, the delete button, which deletes one individual task. So if we wanted to delete blank test right here, we would click delete blank test. And it won't be gone until we save it. For real. And here we can see the descriptions. These are blank and have nothing. You click on it and it opens up a text box to edit. Save and accept or cancel. And it displays as many characters as the settings have set. Yeah, that's one thing. If you open it and cancel it, nothing happens. If you don't change anything, but you still click accept and save, it will trigger the data saving reset warning. And for those times when you're just kind of looking around and don't want to change things, let's set this to danger modes. Here we have the apply button selected. Got all of our thumbs out, we're just mashing the screen. We can make things much safer by turning on the editing lock right here. You'll notice that the apply changes to the inspect, and the apply actually goes away. Everyone else goes into gray and you can no longer change things. It lets you select the text, but you can't change them. Buttons are disabled. You can inspect and see what's happening here, but you can't change it. So there's a safety button so you don't mess up your data as you flip through it. Which either disappears when I mouse over it or is the same color as its background. Not 100% sure. But yes, this is the much more working task tracking module. It's always possible to change the file structure, the data structure. But the profiles seem happy. The data so far seems happy. Won't have to change something until there's a large issue. But it's much safer to use now. And from the task menu, you can now go to the main menu or the task tracking menu. Go to either tier directly. So this is the household helper, version 1.5, with the much more complete task tracking. The project and all of its files are currently available on GitHub. You can check GitHub and its commits to see some of the latest changes. You can also check statuses and progress on the household helper Trello board. The board includes a bounty board for a couple issues that I haven't been able to figure out. I'd love for someone to point me in the right direction. But version 1.5 still might have some changes and you might have to redo some data. But it's much more stable, much more usable, and I can now recommend using it. Any of your feedback on the application would be most wonderful. Leave your questions and comments in the comment section below. Subscribe for more updates. If you like the project, consider supporting through our Patreon. And just general feedback. That is all I have for you today, and thank you for your time.